I would like to tell you about somebody, let's call him Simon. And you only need to know one thing about Simon, and you kind of know everything about him. And that one thing is this: Simon loves apple. I'm not talking about the fruit here. I'm talking about the company. Simon loves apple. Not that he just likes its products. It's almost like Apple products give meaning to Simon's life. I mean, I'm sure many of you know someone who, always has the latest version of the iPhone, who always has a pair of earpods hanging out of their ears, who does all of their works on a MacBook Pro, and all of their reading, all of their creating on an iPad with an Apple Pencil. But it's not just like that with Simon. Simon does all of that almost without thinking about it. No. For Simon, it's like every area of his life has to be controlled by some Apple product. His entire house is run by his HomePod. If there's an appliance out there that doesn't connect to the HomePod, Simon doesn't need that appliance. If there's a television show that's not available on Apple TV, he doesn't need to watch that show. You might even say that Simon doesn't have a life. He has an iLife. And that's good enough for him. So you see, that's what you need to know about Simon. Because if you know that, you know what he will do in any situation. Because he'll do whatever Siri tells him to do. Once he drove into a ditch because Apple Maps said turn left. So do you know a Simon? You know someone like that? I mean, maybe not an Apple fanatic, but you probably know someone, right, who really loves a certain brand. It might be Nike, it might be Tim Hortons, it might be, I don't know, Honda, but they're totally tied to one particular brand. So you can imagine Simon, can't you? Can you see him there? Can you see him there in his Think Different t-shirt with his Apple Watch on his wrist and that tattoo of an apple with a bite taken out of it? Can you see him? Can you imagine him? Okay, now one day, let's say you know this Simon, you've known him all your life this way. One day he walks in carrying an Android phone. And he tells you that for him it's Android all the way now. How would you react? Shock, surprise, right? And no matter what, you would know one thing about it, right? One thing. Something obviously happened to Simon. Something big, something significant for him to make that kind of radical change, right? Something happened. You don't know what. Maybe he had an iPhone explode in his hand, or I don't know, maybe his life was literally saved by an Android phone, but something happened. You can be sure of that. Okay. Now let's say you have 11 guys. 11 guys, normal everyday guys. Friends, a few of their friends maybe. But you have these 11 guys. And they're normal people. They live, they work, they play, they work like anyone else. They eat maybe a little bit different from other people, but you see, there's this one thing about them, one really weird thing about these 11 guys. And it's how they observe one particular day of the week. It's not just that they take that day off. I mean, that alone is kind of weird, kind of odd in our modern 24/7 work-a-day world, but it's not just that they take that day off. It's that that day is completely different for them. They won't do anything. I mean, if the fire goes out in their house, they won't go as so far as to strike a match to restart the fire. They get on an elevator, they won't even push a button to say what floor they want to get off on. This day is so different for them that you might say the way they observe this day gives meaning to every other day of the week. Gives a sense of meaning and purpose to every day of the week. In fact, it kind of gives meaning and purpose to their entire lives. The way they observe that one particular day of the week. It sets them apart from everywhere else. And that day of the week, of course, is Saturday. So let's say you know these guys, and you know this one thing about them, and it tells you everything you need to know about them. And one day they come along, and all of a sudden everything's changed. Just like that, overnight. Everything's changed. And it's no longer about Saturday for them at all. Saturday is just another day. Now it's all about an entirely different day of the week that gives meaning and purpose to their lives. And that day, let me tell you, is not Saturday. That day's Sunday. So what would you think if you saw that? You'd be shocked, surprised, and you'd want to know why. Because you would know for sure that something must have happened to them. Something really significant must have happened to them for them to make such a radical change in one of those central things about their lives that told them who they were. You would want to know what happened, right? And that is the question that we have, that we must ask when we look at the early Christian church. Because the early Christian church, in the years following the death of Jesus, was entirely made up of Jews. And as Jews, they were people for whom the seventh day of the week, Saturday, meant everything and gave purpose and meaning to their entire lives. And yet all of this evidence seems to indicate that right from the beginning, very quickly, right away, these Christians, these followers of Jesus, gave up on Saturday. Just didn't care about Saturday anymore. And it was suddenly all about Sunday for them. That is radical. A huge radical change in somebody's life. And they all did it just like that. You gotta ask why. What happened? Something big must have happened to them on Sunday. So the obvious question for the early church is what? And the answer, the simple answer, as explained this morning in our reading from the Catechism, is Jesus rose from the dead. Jesus rose from the dead on a Saturday. That's what happened. And in fact, I would tell you this one thing. If you want to know what the greatest evidence that we can present for the reality of the resurrection of Jesus, what that greatest evidence is, it is this. Because I don't know any other way to explain how a bunch of Jews, how a bunch of Saturday fanboys could have made such a radical change without something that extraordinary happening to them. They experienced something radical on Sunday. Life change. But I know how we always think about that. How do we always think about that? Well, yes, the early Christians started to observe Sunday because Jesus rose from the dead, but that's a one-time event, right? That's one Sunday, Easter Sunday, when Jesus rose from the dead. But I am not quite sure that that's exactly how the early church experienced it. There's a little bit more to it than that. This morning, we read the accounts of 3 Sundays in the life of the early church from the Bible. First one first Sunday of the church, Easter Sunday, of course. But it says this: when it was evening on that day, that is Easter Day, the first day of the week, the doors were in the house where the disciples had met were locked for fear of the Jews. Now what we have in this passage is essentially the first meeting of the church. This is the first church meeting. It's Sunday, the church in the form of the disciples are together. And what happens? They experience the presence of the risen Christ. Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Now, you might look at that and say, yeah, okay, but what's the big deal? It's Easter. Of course they experience the risen Christ. That's what Easter is about. True enough, but stay with me a minute here. Because John, the gospel reader, is not done. Immediately after he describes the events of that day, what does he say? His next words are, 1 week later. A week later, his disciples were again in the house and Thomas was with them. So this is next Sunday, the second Sunday in the life of the church. And what happens? The church is again gathered on Sunday. And guess what happens? Another experience of the risen Christ. It happens again 1 week later. And I think that what John is saying here, at least what he's suggesting, is nothing else has happened in the meantime, nothing important. It's important for him to say that the second appearance of Christ to the church happens on the second Sunday, because he's setting up a pattern here. A pattern of Sunday appearances of Christ. Sunday experiences of the resurrection. And once you realize that, you realize that that's actually a pattern throughout the New Testament. There are many stories of Sunday appearances in the New Testament. For example, at the end of the Gospel of Luke, there's another story. You may have heard of this one. It's Sunday, and two disciples are walking down the road. They're going to a place called Emmaus. And as they walk along, the two of them, they are joined by a third. Together, the three of them begin to talk about the Scriptures and meaning and the interpretation of the Scriptures. And then after a while, they come to a house. They go into the house. They have a meal together. And then when they break bread together, something happens. The two travelers suddenly realize that they are actually in the presence of the risen Christ. See, this also is a picture of the early church. All the elements are there. It's Sunday. The church is gathered. Yes, only 2 or 3, but what does Jesus say? 2 or 3, when they are gathered, I'm there with you. 2 or 3 is enough. They interpret the Scriptures. They break bread, which the early church did week after week when they gathered. And again, it happens. They experience the presence of the risen Christ. I'm seeing a pattern here. We read one more story, and I really love this story. It's a preacher's favorite story, honestly. About another Sunday in the life of the early church. This one happens in the book of Acts, in a place called Troas. And the church is gathered, and once again, let me tell you, we have all the elements. It's Sunday. The church comes together. They come together to break bread. And there's even a sermon. Some preacher, this guy by the name of Paul, comes along, and he starts to preach a sermon. And in something that might sound familiar to many Christians out through the ages, Paul preaches a sermon that goes a little bit long. In fact, it kind of goes on and on and on and on. Until people start falling asleep. And I'm quite sure that this has never happened in this church. Nobody's ever thought that the sermon went too long, but I hear other churches sometimes complain about that. So this is actually very much a church service that Christians from down to the ages would recognize, right? All of the elements are there, including a really, really long sermon. But there's something special about this one, right? Because there's this young man named Eutychus. He's sitting in a back window and he's listening to Paul go on. And he falls asleep. Except that he's sitting in the window, so he falls out the third-story window. He falls, drops to the ground, and apparently dies. Not a good development in any sermon, let me tell you. So Eutychus is lying dead on the ground, or at least it appears to be so. And then something happens. And what is the significance of what happens? Is it just another miracle story? I mean, the book of Acts is full of miracle stories. Is this just another great miracle story? No, I think there's something special about this one. Why? Because it happens on Sunday. It happens on Sunday when the church is gathered. And the author, the writer of the book of Acts, is very careful at this point. Because he doesn't say exactly what happens. He doesn't actually say whether or not Eutychus is really dead or whether everyone just thinks he's dead. And then Paul comes along and he doesn't say whether Paul actually raises Eutychus from the dead or simply corrects everyone's misunderstanding by saying, no, he's actually not dead. So the writer's kind of cagey. He doesn't necessarily say, oh, this is a resurrection. But I think that's because he's trying to put the emphasis not on the reality, but on the experience. He wants us to focus in on the experience and the feelings of the church. And there's no question that they experience this as a resurrection miracle. And the final phrase in the passage puts emphasis on their feelings, their experience. Meanwhile, they take the boy away alive and were not a little comforted. So what is the writer of the book of Acts saying? He's saying it's still happening. Now, years afterwards, the church continues to meet on a Sunday. They gather together, they read the scriptures, there's preachers, there's breaking of bread. Still experiencing the power of the resurrection of Jesus. This time in very practical form, in the salvation of Eutychus. It's still happening, he said. And I'm not saying that it happened so dramatically every single time the church gathered. But I think the writers of the New Testament would absolutely agree that it kept happening. That again and again, in various ways, when the church gathered on Sundays, they experienced the power of the resurrection of Jesus in various ways. It didn't only happen on Sundays. I'm not saying that. I'm sure that there were many early Christians who had powerful experiences of the resurrection power of Jesus on other days of the week. But it was on Sundays that it happened most consistently, most reliably. And that was what solidified their faith through some very difficult times. So it's not just a one-time experience. It's an ongoing Sunday experience as the church continues to meet. They experience the power of Jesus' resurrection again and again and again in various ways. And it is that, more than anything else, that can explain how a bunch of Saturday fanboys, a bunch of Jews, could have been willing to make such a radical change in their lives. Give up on Saturday. And all of a sudden, it's all about Sunday. Here's the thing. That explains the early church. But what about us? It happened for them. for us. And I'll tell you something. You know Jesus Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, who was put to death so many years ago by Pontius Pilate, he's alive. And he is just as alive today for us as he was for that early church. Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. He is still alive. So if they experience that truth and that power week after week, why not us? And the answer is there's no reason why not us. It can happen for us even as it happened for them. It should. It does. Sometimes. I know I've been with the church. I've been in church meetings on Sundays, sometimes on other days of the week. I've known the presence of the risen Christ. Other people tell me of their experiences of that same thing. Yes, it happens sometimes. But probably not as consistently as it did for the early church. So why not us? Well, I'll tell you, I think it has a lot to do with our expectations. If we expected it, if we expected to experience the power of the resurrection week after week when we gathered, would we not experience it more often in various ways? But you know what? We put up barriers. We prevent it from happening. We rationalize. We rationalize so much of what happens in our faith and our Christian practice. We turn it into ideas instead of really experiencing it. We get critical of one another about the church, and that puts up barriers and stops it from happening. And honestly, one of the things we do is we keep everything under control, so well under control. So that if something goes wrong, we panic. That puts up a barrier, stops it from happening. But just think. If we learn to expect it, like those early Christians expected it, week after week when we gathered with our sisters and brothers in Christ, that there would be some experience of the power and presence of the risen Christ. We may not know how it might happen from week to week. We might find the presence of Christ in a word somebody shares, in a beautiful piece of music, in the face of our neighbor, in a bit of bread, a sip of wine. Might not know how, but you would know that it would happen. And if we enter into our Sundays with that expectation, what might not Christ do among us? Maybe we would understand the true meaning of Sundays as well. Let's take a few moments in silent reflection.